Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Liang Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's stories. Police published a photo of a suspect in San Francisco MUNI train shooting incident. They're asking for him to come in for the interrogation. The man who planned to kill Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh pled not guilty to charges of attempted murder. He previously told police his intentions. And the ride-shared drivers gathered in front of a Lyft building in San Jose to protest for safety. They said that numerous drivers have been endangered or even killed. 2 people were shot at a public transit station in San Francisco. One died, the other was hurt.
The San Francisco Police Department responded to a shooting at the MUNI Forest Hill station at around 9:56 a.m. on Wednesday. They released a photo of a person of interest, asking the person to come forward for interrogation. A 70-year-old male was transported to Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The second victim, a 27-year-old male, was pronounced dead at the scene. No arrests have been made, and the investigation is ongoing.
A California man who attempted to murder a Supreme Court justice appeared in a Maryland federal court on Wednesday. He is accused of planning to assassinate Justice Brett Kavanaugh right outside his home.
Californian Nicholas Rosk of Simi Valley pleaded not guilty of attempted murder in a Maryland federal court on Wednesday. Rosk had told investigators that he was upset over the leaked Supreme Court opinion that aims to overturn Roe v. Wade. He also stated he was upset about the Uvalde, Texas shooting. He is accused of traveling across the country with plans to kill United States Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Court documents state he was planning on taking his own life after the assassination. According to police, he had a shotgun, ammunition, zip ties, and tactical gear in his possession. His trial is scheduled for August 23rd, and he faces up to life in prison if convicted. Rosk will remain in jail until his trial. Daniel Hall, NTD News, California.
A group of drivers for Lyft and Uber held a rally in front of a Lyft office. They felt that the tech companies have not taken enough action to compensate and protect the drivers. NTD's David Lamb reports.
The safety and well-being of rideshare drivers has always been an issue, but there doesn't seem to be any concrete example to resolve the issue. Now, on Thursday, some gig workers got together in Silicon Valley to demand more safety for their work. Members of the Gig Workers Rising group feel that there hasn't been a solid solution. The rally in front of Lyft's San Jose office was based on the group's report of casualties.
So we put out a safety report in April detailing over 50 plus drivers being murdered on the job from 2017 to now.
Cardenas says it's a daily norm for the drivers to get exploited, and in extreme cases can result in death from the customers they pick up.
Once the person is in your car, sometimes it's difficult to get rid of them. The person is drunk. I've had a friend of mine who told me that he had a drunk passenger in his car, and he was so passed out, he didn't want to leave the car. He ended up calling the cops to get him out of his car. So you never know. People have got their own problems. They take it on their Lyft or Uber drivers.
On June 1st, several politicians signed a letter sent to 5 app-based delivery companies: Lyft, Uber, DoorDash, Instacart, and Grubhub. They gave the CEOs of each company to June 22nd to respond to questions regarding safety measures. NTD reached out to the app companies. Lyft responded, saying, "Since day one, we've built safety into every part of the Lyft experience. We are committed to doing everything we can to help protect drivers from crime." Lyft told NTD that they have a 24/7 safety team and law enforcement team, and Lyft would reach out to the driver or their family in the case of a safety incident.
That's why I'm here with you demanding gig safety now. Gig safety now. Gig safety now.
Apps do have screening procedures for drivers and customers, but the organizer says improvements can be made. Drivers get penalized for refusing rides.
Anybody can, people can use other people's account and get into somebody's car, and that they can use a burner phone or somebody else's name, and that's not the person that's actually inside the car.
The group is demanding things such as workers' compensation for employees hurt on the job, the right to unionize, and transparent data on injuries and deaths. Lyft said they will continue to take action and invest to make the service as safe as it can be. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
The Protect App-Based Drivers Plus Services Coalition told NTD that Proposition 22's approval has benefited gig drivers. It said Prop 22 provides guaranteed minimum earnings, a healthcare stipend, and occupational accident insurance for gig workers while allowing independence. As summer's travel season approaches, despite gas prices, people will still be going on vacation, which means a lot of driving. And that may mean distractions on the road. NTD's Jackie Reels talked to an expert from AAA about why it's so important to avoid distracted driving.
Most of us are guilty of distracted driving, but just a few seconds of distraction can lead to tragedy on the road. So what exactly is distracted driving, and what can you do to avoid it? The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, defines distracted driving as any activity that takes away attention from driving. Those include talking or texting on your cell phone, eating and drinking, talking to people inside your vehicle, and adjusting the stereo or navigational system.
Do you have any clue why I'm stopping you?
When a driver is distracted, they develop a tunnel vision, and they are missing some very important things in front of them. They could be missing pedestrians crossing the street, children playing on a residential roadway, other vehicles, and they're putting everybody at risk. When you drive distracted, this is not a victimless crime. It's not just yourself that you're putting at risk. You're putting all road users at risk, other drivers, bicyclists, pedestrians.
Shoup explained why texting is one of the biggest dangers.
The true triple threat is using that smartphone behind the wheel. And the reason for that is when you are texting while driving, it is taking your eyes off of the roadway, it's taking your hands off of the steering wheel, and it's a cognitive distraction. It's taking your mind off of focusing on the road ahead.
And according to AAA, distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures more than 1,000 people every day in America. But the numbers could be higher, as distracted driving often goes unreported and is difficult to determine as the cause of the crash.
You don't have to drive too far here in Southern California on any roadway to see people of all ages driving distracted. It's not just teenagers or younger drivers like most people think. You can actually find mature drivers, people who are experienced, who should know better, that are behind the wheel looking down at that smartphone. You know, people in their 40s, their 50s.
Doug mentioned during the pandemic, AAA saw an increase in dangerous driving activities even though there were less people on the road.
We know that people between the ages of 20 and 24 years old make up the greatest number of distracted driving related fatalities and serious injuries. However, everybody, unfortunately, is guilty of being distracted when behind the wheel.
As people gear up to take their summer vacation trips, AAA has some advice to avoid what they call driving intoxicated. Those include put it away, know where you're going, pull over, ask passengers for help, be a good passenger, and don't be a distraction. Jackie Rios, NTD News, Los Angeles.
We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we've got for you when we come back. Pro-life supporters gathered at the state capitol to call on lawmakers to stop their support of abortion. They said unborn children have rights as well. A Southern California city is on the verge of bankruptcy. That's because of suspending local sales taxes. Some officials say they want to keep the tax away and welcome more businesses in. And an Asian American woman received widespread harassment on Twitter for voicing her doubt against reparations. Twitter has not taken her side over the numerous threats she received. That and more on California Today. Pro-life activists rallied at the California Capitol ahead of the Roe v. Wade decision in the Supreme Court. They believe the unborn has a right to life and call on officials to offer those individuals protection by law.
Several hundred pro-life activists gathered for the California March for Life rally and march in front of the Capitol building in Sacramento on Wednesday.
I am so excited to see so many men, women, and children that are here because you have an unwavering commitment that every child deserves to be welcomed into life and protected by law.
The rally comes as the nation prepares for the Supreme Court to release its decision on the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade decision that legalized abortion nationwide.
We have lived for over 50 painful years now under an unjust law, under the immense weight of the lie that might makes right, that a child in the womb has no rights, has no worth. And over 63 million children, 63 million children have lost their lives because of the injustice of 1973.
Anti-abortion legislators have been rapidly enacting restrictive laws in conservative states this year. There's a possibility that the Supreme Court could roll back abortion rights and permit states to ban abortion entirely.
I believe in pro-life. My mother gave me a chance. She trusted that I would grow up and do the right thing in life, and I think right now this is the time that we need to do this. We need to stand up for life right now.
So I think it's really important, anything we can do to support life and to dispel the lie that life is just merely a choice, that we can do away with the unborn with no regard for the sanctity of life.
I had a miscarriage back in 2018, and when I was pregnant with my son, they were doing tests and it looked like he might have Down syndrome, and the doctor told me then that if I wanted to have an abortion, that this would be my window of opportunity. And my husband and I longed for our son, and we believe that all lives matter, and that has really affected my decision to come out and stand for the voiceless.
In early May, a draft majority opinion leaked to the public showed the conservative-leaning court intending to overturn the Roe v. Wade decision. In response, California legislators have pushed to write abortion into the state's constitution.
While some parts of California can't get enough of their taxes, one Southern California city is hoping to get rid of theirs. The only issue is they are facing bankruptcy without it. With the midterm elections approaching, city officials are considering renewing their 1% city sales tax.
Westminster in Orange County is facing an impending budget deficit of over $17 million. City councilors are now faced with the question of whether to renew the city's 1% sales tax. Officials say the sales tax will bring in between $12 to $15 million a year. For the city to renew the tax, at least 4 out of the 5 councilors must vote yes on the proposal. That would place it on the November ballot for residents to vote on. But there's a split on what to do. Vice Mayor Carlos Manzo and Councilwoman Kimberly Ho are currently the only 2 in support of the proposal. That's because a city's sales tax is one of its financial sources. Those funds are needed for maintaining both public and protective services, as well as local development. But Mayor Tri Ta believes renewing the sales tax is unnecessary. He says the city should incentivize more businesses to set up shop in town, and no sales tax encourages that. However, Manzo says revenue from the sales tax would at least sustain the city's basic services like policing or trash collection. Current budget cuts have already led to a 33% staff reduction in the city's police force. Officials say that without this revenue, the city could eventually be forced to file for bankruptcy by 2024.
The executive director of a California nonprofit was attacked on Twitter for her comment on the state's recent reparations report for African Americans. NTD's Cynthia Kai spoke with her to hear more about the situation.
Wenyuan Wu, executive director of Californians for Equal Rights Foundation, was recently attacked on Twitter for questioning the California Reparations Task Force. When your Twitter account was flooded with those comments, how did you feel and what was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction was kind of shock. I was baffled that something that I commented on as a public policy analyst, as someone who closely follows policy developments in the public sphere in California, would receive not on account of my arguments or the merits of my arguments, but on account of my race and ethnicity.
Wu says the comments came after an interview she did with NBC San Diego.
I represented my organization in that interview with NBC San Diego, in which I criticized the report, not the scheme of reparations categorically. So I questioned the methodological and substantive errors of the report.
California's task force to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans released an interim report on June 1st. The report documents the lingering effects of slavery on African Americans today. Wu expressed concern over whether the report's policy proposals would violate the state constitution's ban on racial preferences and Proposition 209, also known as the Affirmative Action Initiative.
About a week later, I started receiving a lot of private messages on my Twitter account, and also a group of people started to follow me and comment on all my posts on Twitter. About 2 days later, these comments bled into my Facebook.
Twitter users don't use their real names when leaving what she called profane and racially charged comments. Wu said she reported some of these comments to Twitter.
But Twitter did an investigation, I suppose, and concluded that these posts did not violate their rules.
Twitter did not respond to NTD's request for comment. Wu also criticized the California Reparations Task Force's nearly 500-page report in a recent article she wrote for Minding the Campus titled Reparations or Ransom. She disagrees with the report's sweeping policy recommendations. These include zero-interest home loans, free college tuition, free healthcare, monetary compensation, among others. Wu says there's a fine line between freedom of expression and freedom of lies and smears.
The former one, which is fundamental to free speech, is the freedom to say what's on my mind based upon facts, based upon analysis, based upon a willingness to talk to the other side, to take on difficult topics.
Her recent advocacy has focused on combating critical race theory in American public life. She writes for Minding the Campus of the National Association of Scholars and sits on the board of Parents Defending Education Action.
If you're planning to head to a California beach this summer, you may want to check out an annual report card before catching some rays. The environmental nonprofit announced its 2021 to 2022 beach report card at a press conference on a beach in Santa Monica.
Nonprofit Heal the Bay revealed its report card for California beach cleanliness in Santa Monica on Wednesday. 51 of the 500 monitored beaches made the report's honor roll, and they're all in Southern California. Most of the beaches are in Orange County and San Diego. The standard was for being clean during all seasons and weather conditions. On the other hand, 10 beaches with the lowest dry summer grades were listed as beach bummers. The organization monitored and graded 500-plus beaches last year. The grades were given based on bacterial pollution. The good news is 94% of the beaches got an A or B for the summer months from April to October. The percentage dropped to 88% during the winter months. According to Heal the Bay, less rainfall during the wet weather months last year may have contributed to cleaner water along the coast. Less rainfall means less pollutants were being washed into the ocean through storm drains, rivers, and streams. The report also cited a large amount of sewage being dumped into certain coastal beaches, such as through the Tijuana River.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you your California Today Sports Roundup. Amid the Live Golf Tour stealing some of the PGA's prized talent, PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan accused the Saudi-backed Live Invitational Series of attempting to buy the game of golf on Wednesday. He then went on the offensive, unveiling larger purses, new events, and a different calendar. Speaking at the Travelers Championship in Cromwell, Connecticut, Monahan conceded that the PGA Tour cannot compete with the Live Series when it comes to cash, but upped the ante, announcing it would increase purses at 8 events during the 2022-23 season to an average of $20 million, back to the tune of $250 million by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. Live is offering purses of $25 million at 7 of 8 events and a $50 million prize fund at the series finale, to be played in October at former U.S. President Donald Trump's property in Doral. If those figures aren't startling enough, then the astronomical sums dangled in front of golf's biggest names in an effort to lure them away from the PGA Tour are eye-popping. 6 times major winner Phil Mickelson, according to media reports, got a $200 million deal to sign on with the Rebel Circuit, and former Masters champion Dustin Johnson got $125 million. Live Golf CEO and former world number 1 golfer Greg Norman has said the new series offers players free agency and fans an exciting way to watch golf. Along with a bump up in the prize money, Monahan also announced a new 3-event international series in the fall for the top players to be held in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. In 2024, the PGA Tour will return to a calendar year schedule, rather than the current model that sees a season split over 2 years. There will also be changes to the FedEx Cup playoff with a greater focus on the best players. Commissioner Monahan also continued to point to the traditions and legacy that go with playing on the PGA Tour. He reminded members that they do not have to make apologies when they tee it up at a PGA Tour stop, while Live golfers must defend their position to participate in a series that critics say amounts to blatant sports washing by a nation trying to improve its reputation in light of blatant human rights concerns. Los Angeles Rams star cornerback Jalen Ramsey underwent surgery on Tuesday to repair an AC joint injury that he had to play through in the 2021 season and during a Super Bowl winning playoff run. Actually, Ramsey played through 2 injuries in both shoulders down the stretch of the season, but only one of those injuries required surgery. The 27-year-old received first-team All-Pro honors after tallying 77 tackles and 4 interceptions across 16 regular season games, and stayed healthy enough to play in all 4 playoff games that led to the Rams winning a Super Bowl. Ramsey is expected to be healthy to start the season, but it is unclear whether or not he'll be ready for the start of the Rams' off-season training camp. That's all for California sports. Back to you.
That's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. If you have any news, tips, or ideas for our show, or you just want to let us know how we're doing, our email is california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.